Welcome to another milepost of the V-Twin Life. We talk motorcycles powered by those V-Twins, why we enjoy it, what they mean to us, and just why we enjoy the open road. V-Twin Life is brought to you by crashinclothing.com, also known as Crash Inc. on the World Wide Web. Man, Brad has sold a lot of stuff. You want to get some merchandise, you want to get parts, you want to upgrade stuff on your bike. He is a dealer for a lot of great companies, so check out crashinclothing.com and see what they got for you. Now, we got Wild Ass. You want to add some comfort to your ass? Man, Wild Ass has got you covered. They've got something you like. Use that promo code DWoods. Get yourself free shipping and put that ass in comfort. Can't forget Custom Dynamics, leading the world in LED lighting and LED technology. Man, these got some great stuff. You want to light up your life at nighttime? You want to be seen during the day? Hey, check out Custom Dynamics. Can't forget Lexan. These guys got some great comm units. I just got the new G16s. Man, you want to talk quality? These things are awesome. Loudspeakers, plus they got some air pumps, small ones you keep in your bike. They're ready to go. So check out Lexan. So now, let's get to another milepost of the V-Twin Life. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another milepost. We're knocking down 111 tonight with Riot, the man that started Mile Monsters about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And man, I tell you, it's been crazy to watch the growth of something he created. So, hey, let's dive into this, man. So thanks for coming on and hanging out tonight, right?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's awesome. I was just pulled up and I'm like, because I use StreamYard, I just noticed that it has our thing from my own StreamYard pops up on there. So I don't even know how I shut that off or how I do that. And
Oh, it's all good.
so I kind of laugh, but thanks for having me. It's always good to get caught up and take a moment and talk about some fun stuff.
Oh, it is. And it's been so cool to see the growth. Kind of in a way, you think back to the little slogan of, feel the dreams. If you build it, they'll come. And man, you've built something that so many people have came to, and it's just been absolutely amazing to see the growth of what you've created.
It's really, that part of it is mind blowing to me because it seems like yesterday I started, just riding motorcycles and I wanted to compete in one Hokahay and, wanted to do that one time and see where I stacked up against some of the best riders in the world. And, never thought I would do a second Hokahay, let alone consecutive ones. And I'll be going on my fourth one and, and creating Mile Monsters, like Jim Red Cloud's vision and what he created and how the Hokahay changed my brain just really propelled it forward. And now the whole Mile Monster thing is just incredible what it's blowing up into.
Oh, it has. And, see the expression, the smiles on the boys' face with the stuff you've done. And even just, for myself getting to do, the turbo run down for his birthday and getting to see the smiles on their faces when you show up and, you go there to hang out with them and, kind of really what it means to them for, us to just, we get to do something we enjoy. We're all riding a motorcycle, but we get to go do it for an amazing cause. And, you turn some crazy miles and these long rides, but to see the smiles on their faces, it makes everything so well worth it.
Yeah, I've said that for years, that smile on their face and appreciation they have for what we do makes all of the risk, all of the hard work, the hours, the miles, the expense, everything, all that just washes away, in 2 seconds when you get to look a kid in the eye and they're so thankful for what we're able to offer them. Some of it's just the littlest of things, that we get them. Some of it's just showing up at their birthday party, stuff like that is just, it's amazing. It's just hard to put into words sometimes.
It is. And, I can think back to, the end of the Monster 100 at Sturgis, seeing all the boys riding in, riding on the bikes with the guys. And man, we're seeing them rolling into Black Hills, and especially like Jack's face was just, he was just glowing. And it was just awesome to be part of it. It was so freaking cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And to put it, those kids, to see them when we pulled into that end of the road party at that Black Hills, and all those kids that wanted to ride, we get them on motorcycles, we bring them in there. And for those, that half hour, that weekend, whatever it ends up being, they totally forget about having a disease such as, Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And for that moment in time, they're just bikers enjoying the open road like we all do. Our time, I'm fortunate. I spend a ton of time on a motorcycle, but for these boys, that hour, that 2 hours on a motorcycle, let them know what it's like to be us, even for that short amount of time. And it really meant a lot to them and a lot to me to see it. It was really kick ass.
That's a good way to put it too. So I mean, the something we take for granted that we get to do is something that they might only get to experience maybe that one time for some of them. And so that is pretty freaking cool. Good point.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and seeing the boys, the light up and open up to these bikers and experience that is next level cool.
It is. Did you expect it? Can you sometimes fathom that the growth you've had from this?
No, it's hard for me to wrap my head around. Like I say, I started out riding one Hoka. I had one boy I rode for back then, and that was it. And then I just had a gut feeling, a hunch, something. I just thought, man, we could spread this out and get riders across the country and ride for, multiple kids. And, I just had something in my head, but I didn't know how to get it out and turn it into something. It's like trying to get a tattoo. I have an idea in my head, but putting that forward and getting the wheels rolling is,
Yeah.
I know how to do that. And then some people just motivated me and got me just willing to take that step. And I'm not too bashful. I will take a step forward and fail before I will just stay standing still. I'll always try to take a step. So that's what I did, and just took a step, and then get so many people like yourself and all the other fans we have that jumped on board with supporting us, and then riders that came out. That's the part that just amazes me, that there's all these riders, hundreds of riders that will come out and ride for our cause. They all love the boys. It's just that shit's just beyond epic.
Well, that's like, you got the shirt on, the Monster 100. When you posted the sign up for that, I was in awe at how fast the first 100 it was full. It's like, holy crap.
Oh, posting that was a year ago, a year ago on Thanksgiving weekend. And literally Hopper and I talked about it, and I said, well, if we put 100 people out there, had an idea how we're going to do it, still working on the details of it. And we thought, hey, let's get 100 riders. If we can get 100 riders, we should be able to get a van. We should be able to accomplish our goal, nothing else but just get a van. That was really it. And we'd hoped to fill that up by February. I thought, if we can fill this up by February, by bike week of Daytona, that'll be pretty good. We'll be able to roll forward with it. And it filled up in 50 hours or some nonsense like that. And, open it up to another 100, and that filled up. So that was next level mind blowing.
Yeah. And then, getting to see being at the end of the run for that in Sturgis and getting to see the numbers and everything of what everybody did together, what we ended up raising, I think, was it $172,000?
Yeah, it was like basically $175,000, and it was absolutely amazing what that accomplished. I tell people all the time, it's like, you buy a van, that's great, and that helps a family out immensely. But by having a second round of riders, we were able to fund so many things, like the Texas tour with Gavin. We had all the shirts made. We had all of the expenses for that, coins and everything else. It funded that as we got rolling. Turbo Time stuff, we could fund the expansion of it just from that one event, and it was just epic. And then to bring all 5 families from around the world to converge in Sturgis for that finish line, and having a party at that hotel, and be able to pay for all of that, it was just incredible. It was absolutely incredible to sit and look at what that accomplished.
I think being able to bring the boys and the families there and not have that burden upon the families, because I can only imagine the burden that they have financially with everything that they're doing, these treatments and all the medical and the doctors and all the stuff that they go through nonstop. It's got to be kind of a better feeling, kind of an ease to let them just kind of come and enjoy a weekend, or maybe for some of them a week, and get away from that and just live a, something, I guess you could say, normal life, which so many of us take for granted.
Right, exactly. Like going to Sturgis is like would cost me money, but I wouldn't think that much of the opportunity to go there. I've been to Sturgis 20 times in my life. And, I think, oh, that's great. But for the kids and their families, that could be a once in a lifetime, and to have all 5 boys there at the same time so they can interact. There's other kids going through the same thing they are, and they're all enjoying this great, awesome, display of affection to them and putting them on a pedestal. And it was just super, super cool.
Yeah, it was. It was super cool. Grateful for the opportunity. And Amy and I got to go work for Wild Ass, and working for them was a lot of fun. Got quite the education. You think you know something about a product until you take that next step where you're working for the company, and that was an education all in its own. But having that opportunity and also being able to be there for the Monster 100 finish was just super freaking cool.
Yeah, I love the folks over at Wild Ass.
Craig and Renee are so freaking great, and his dad cracks me up. Getting to know his dad and hanging out with even him for a couple days, and his best friend Jared. It was so much fun. And Callie, she's just happy and high on life. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I met them because I needed a product that could keep me in a saddle, and then that's how we met. But then we just became friends, and now it's the product is second to the friendship is first, and the product is second. Before, the product was the only thing, and they were just a means to getting my ass comfortable, so I could compete. It's just funny how it works.
Yeah, and it is. It's freaking crazy. And it's like we went down to Turbo's house, actually demoed the saddle light cushion, because I've always had the classics. Like, call Craig, say I want to get one of these, and I want to try it out to see a comparison, just to see physically know the difference, and be able to get the opportunity to go do it again, to actually have that firsthand knowledge of, okay, I've put miles on this cushion, I put a shit ton on this one, and here's the difference. And I think that'll be cool if we do it again, just to have that firsthand knowledge myself. And it's a product that I use, and quite frankly, Amy, and it's made a huge difference when it comes to riding. That's for sure.
Oh, my wife's not riding. My wife is not riding without one. So,
neither's mine. I mean, it's like the one I took the test. Amy took it, stuck it in her car.
Yeah, mine's in my truck. And
actually, though, I wouldn't stole it because I'm sitting on it right now.
I should have brought mine in too. But my chair is not too bad. But without Wild Ass, I wouldn't have been able to ride a motorcycle this year because of my accident last year. I didn't realize the damage I had until about a year after the accident, when I still couldn't walk. The doctors were telling me, it's soft tissue damage. And so they told me it's soft tissue damage and it's going to take 6 months to a year. Well, a year, I still couldn't walk without shoes on. I was really struggling. And then it dawned on me, I had to try multiple seats on my motorcycle. Finally got a Mustang seat that was the only seat I could stand. And I get a Mustang seat. I tried a Saddleman seat that didn't work, but I finally got a Mustang seat that worked. My truck, I've got to use my Wild Ass in. I have a new office chair here. I threw my other one in the garbage because I couldn't sit in it. And then it dawns on me that not every chair in the world can possibly be bad. There must be something wrong. I talked to a doctor. He's like, dude, you got to get your spine checked. And they did, and had some damage in my lower spine from the accident. So now I'm working on that. And I got my, chiropractor and spine center taking care of me. Well, now my feet are finally getting a little better. But my point is, without that Wild Ass, I would have never been able to ride this year, hardly at all. Like, it hurt to ride. And that's why I knew something was wrong, because I had my Wild Ass under me and my butt was still like not hurting, but it was still sore. And I said, there's something wrong with me, because I would sit in a motorcycle for 20 hours a day for 2 weeks at a time when I was competing. And I never got sore. I never had my ass get sore once. So I knew there was some problem. So I'm happy to get that spine taken care of and get back to having a normal ass, not having these nerve issues.
Well, I had to laugh when Amy and I left Sturgis that morning. We came home Saturday, and the first gas stop, so say 150 something miles, and we pulled off to get gas, because pulling the trailer, I lost a little bit of mileage, but that trailer's freaking handy as hell. And I couldn't figure out getting close to the gas stops. Like, fuck, my ass is just fucking hurts. I'm like, something ain't fucking right. And got gas, unzipped it. And I know that night there was some jokes played at the hotel. You know, a lot of bikes end up little penis magnets and shit on them. But mine ended up, somebody had unzipped my wild ass and opened the valve. So the valve was wide open. There's no fucking air in it at all. I laughed like, well played. You know, it was comical. And I honestly, I thought it was Jason Setzer because I seen him over at the bike at Black Hills on that Friday night. And I'm like, well played, fucker. And I called him. He's like, dude, that's not me. He goes, that's fucked up. I'm like, it's just an air cushion. I said, I ain't pissed. I said, I think it's fucking funny as shit. But because you notice a difference, like, what the hell's going on? He's like, I swear to God, it wasn't me. I'm like, yeah, I ain't mad at whoever did it. It's fucking comical and well played.
Yeah, I wish I would have done it because I would have laughed to tell you right now it was me, but it wasn't me. So I would not be above that. I would definitely do that to somebody, you know, for sure. So
yeah. So how far in advance are you kind of, you know, planning these rides and getting stuff out there? Because I know with some of these, you know, you've got to start well within what, a year
yeah,
in advance?
last year we decided to have a calendar. So when we decided to have a calendar, then I said, well, we have to have everything planned, which really helped me move forward with Mile Monsters as big as we're getting in the epic shit we want to do, because you have to plan it, you know, so
Right.
far in advance. So that got me, you know, 9 months was about the latest I did. But now when we moved into this year, I'm about a year out. Like I'm already middle of this summer, I had already had next year's rides kind of figured out. And like right now, I'm already working on 2025's events. So it's going to be pretty cool. In 2025, I can hardly wait for it to get here. I don't know how I'm going to keep that quiet for the amount of time I need to keep it quiet for, but next year at this time, I'll come on again and I'll unleash 2025, because that's going to be a phenomenal year. Just to give everybody a little teaser of time, that there'll be so many people involved with that, and it's going to be just absolutely epic. But that kind of stuff we plan, you know, a year and a half in advance. Like next year's Monster K I've been working on. You know, when you talked to me about having a destination place, I said, you know, we already have that planned. You know, we already have that planned, and we're moving forward. And you know, there's been multiple people that came to me with that idea, and I've always been like, yep, that's a great idea, because I never wanted to say anything to anybody. We're having this, you know, we've had that planned, and I've actually had that planned since before Mile Monsters was even a thing. The very first year of having Mile Monsters, I wanted to do an event, and we couldn't get it kicked off, you know, because I tried to conquer the mountain before I learned how to climb the hill. And you know, kind of stumbled back on that one. That was going to be our Midwest Monster a few years back, but I might do that again someday down the road. But that's kind of where this idea stems from.
Actually, Tracy had a good question. Does a Hoka Hay make it harder to plan, especially for those Hoka Hay years?
Yeah, it that's a great question, because it does make it very hard to plan, and that is why we waited until 2024 to do the Monster K, so we can get everybody doing 1,000 miles on the same exact day, because now we can condense our event to one weekend. So we're in the center of the country, if you take off, you know, a Friday and a Monday, you can get there and back pretty much from anywhere. You're at the extreme, you know, where you're at. And so that's kind of what we looked for, because of the okay. There's so many people like myself and so many other riders that take that, you know, extraordinary time off to do that. And this year, especially, like starting in Florida, ending in Alaska, like that sounds glamorous and awesome and super cool, but that takes in a tremendous amount of planning and financial commitment to do that, because you have to, like in your case, you would have to go all the way to Florida, then all the way to Alaska, and then you got to go back home. Where
Yeah.
other years, you know, we've started and stopped in the same place. So you knew where you're going to end, and you know, you could have a truck there, you know, you could trail your bike to the start line, because that's the finish line as well. So you had more options, where now you got to get your ass to the starting line on a bike, and you got to get your ass to the finish line, and then you got to get home. So for me, I have a long ride to Florida, you know, 1,200 miles to Florida, whatever it is. So, and then, you know, 5,000 miles home from Alaska. So it's going to be
Yeah.
crazy.
We got, you know, like old man Frank, you know, in a way, course, he's got the long ride to get there, but then his ride back is going to be a little bit shorter than a lot of many other people. And speaking of, that's kind of why, we're taking next year's Monsters Over Mountains and moving it back a week in August, because I've had a few people that are riding the Hoka said, "Hey, when are you going to do it? I'm trying to plan it, and we want to do that too." So we're going to move that back to the 24th and 25th of August, because there's a few guys that want to ride that. And of course, also for Frank, because Frank's been a part of it since the beginning, and he still wants to ride it. So it's a no-brainer for me. It's like, dude, that's not a problem. We can move it one weekend for those people. And you got Frank, who, me and Frank are been in it since the beginning. And man, I love riding with that guy. He's a lot of fun and does so much to also help with getting the word out with, all the flyers that, he and Abbott Printing work together, and they're a huge support, and they're a great, a great asset and great, friendship with Frank. He's freaking amazing. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a hell of a rider too. And
man,
it's really on beast mode, because like when I get done with the Hoka, I've done 3, and when I get done, like they have an end of the road party at the 2-week mark, and there's a stretch there I can't even ride a motorcycle. I'm just done. My hands are so swollen up. It looks like I was in a fight, from so many days of just nonstop vibration and running the brakes and running the brakes and the clutch. So it's crazy. But the next week, then it starts getting a little bit back to normal where you can ride again. So just kind of funny, but it just changes the Hoka will just change your thinking about things and how far things are and what you're willing to ride to. And it's crazy how it literally broke my brain, doing my first Hoka, like snapped my brain.
I could imagine.
And changed everything. And Blackie, one of the board members, I'll never forget that. He told me, when you do the Hoka, you're going to find out things about yourself that you may or may not like. You're going to learn shit about yourself out on the road that, you may not be proud of, and it is going to change you. And I did not understand what the hell he meant by that until I did it. And then, out on the road one day, it's like, it just, your north became south and south became north, just flipped your internal compass around. It's just amazing how it does that, and my thinking has never been the same. It actually changed the course of my life doing the Hoka one time.
I could only imagine. I mean, hearing the stories, I've been fortunate enough, like, to become great friends with you. And, I've talked with K Solo and Reef and Diesel and, a lot of these guys, Hopper and Wrong Way, just hearing the stories and, how they grasp with it. And sometimes like, I don't know, for days, they relate. It's kind of like you're just in a fog. You don't know. You're just riding. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy because people get into it and they think it's a great big competition of, there's 200 riders and you're taking off and I got to beat all of you guys. And, and that's how I was my first one. I'm like, I just want to see where I stack up, against the best riders in the world. And then at my first one, I think took me 11 days, something like that. But anyhow, I would on like day 9 or something. It was like, just the way of thinking just changed. And I'm like, I just want to survive this. I want to finish this. I want to survive it. I want to get me and my bike across that finish line. That was the only thing that mattered to me after a certain day. It didn't matter to me about place. I didn't care if I won it, if I came in 50th or 5th, whatever it was. I just wanted to finish it and arrive alive at that finish line, because it just beats you down mentally. It's like getting kicked in the fucking balls repeatedly, day after day. The weather, the no sleep, the wear and tear on you, the sun's killing you. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Nowadays, I think it's much easier to prepare because there's a lot more riders that are into it and a lot more riders that talk about it. You got little hints. I didn't know jack shit. I had blue jeans and work boots on, or trucks, my first one. And, old school Harley rain gear. And I had a crappy old helmet, and it's just ass beating. But it comes a time then it's just that you're just in it against you. That's it. Like, you're the only one that you think about. Like, I just want to survive and get done. Where you come in the finish line, nobody gives a shit after a certain point. It's just funny how that is and how your brain wraps around that. It's hard to explain, and unless you've done it. And there's certain things you can't talk about to anybody unless they've done it, and been,
Understandable.
it's like he played on a football team. You can tell anybody about your state championship, but the dude that was in the trenches with you, they understand it.
Different bond.
They were there with you. And I can have conversations with Solo because it was Solo and I at the end of the last Hoka that rolling along for up in your neck of the woods. We were together all the way from Northern California all the way until Idaho, and rolling along and sharing. I'm giving him Red Bull, he's giving me beef jerky, rolling down the highway at 75 miles an hour, and he hands over a bag of beef jerky, and I reach over and grab a beef jerky and put it in there, and then we're getting gas. He's like, "Man, I need a Red Bull." I said, "Dude, I got a Red Bull right here in the cooler." Give him a Red Bull, and we joked around that this fun and games and helping each other out and palling around. I go, that's going to finish, on that last day, we're going to be balls to wall the finish line, racing to get there. And so we kind of laughed about what that was going to be like. And instead, I tumbled my bike into the rocks, so we didn't have to worry about it. He just hit a deer, and he went in the ditch and crashed his bike. And it was a matter of who got their bike pieced together. And then he went on to roll across the finish line, without me racing down Main Street with him. But it was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's tough. Adventures like those, you get into the, we'll throw in the long distance riding, the communities, you get more familiar with it, and you start kind of honing your craft. You've realized, okay, this, item ain't going to work. We got to work on some of this, in a way, minimize some things, a little bit better quality items that aren't so large, that you're not packing so big. And I think, the more you do those and the more you start getting familiar with it, you can somewhat condense your kit, and start learning what works for you and what's going to make the journey a little bit simpler in a way.
Yeah, and what works for that is miles, like pound fucking miles, and figure your shit out. So many people hardly ride, or they never ride with a loaded bike. I was a smart. My first Hoka, I started riding with a loaded bike long before the Hoka, to get used to that top heavy, weight and everything else. But get used to your things, because I see so many riders that get into the long distance world, and they're always asking me, "Oh, what do you use? What do you use? What do you do this? How do you do that?" And what works great for me might cause you to more time, So I always laugh, and I said, you can take this with a grain of salt. Like, the shit I use may not work for you, may not be your jam, like it works for me. That's what I eat, how I eat, how I do that stuff is conducive to what I've found works for me. And Go Home Ken told me from the minute we got to be friends after my first OK in 18, we've been friends ever since. He said, if you want to be good, then perfect your craft. Think of long distance riding as a craft and work on it. And I tell you, I change shit nonstop. Like, I just went on a ride to met you in California. I had shit on my bike I've never had on there before to try it out. I'm trying this out. I'm trying that out. I tried different cots. I tried different lights, water systems, food, clothes, how I can minimize space with clothes, and, but still have what you need. And it's just crazy, to do that, because if you just copy somebody, you just might be like, man, that guy's a complete fucking moron. Like somebody might copy my system and be like, that ride's a dipshit, man. I don't know how he can get across the country in under a month with all the shit he uses, So I kind of laugh. And I see Springer Mike there says the umbrella is an awesome idea. And I told all the riders that rode for the monsters last year, I always save a few tips that I give people that ride. And when you're riding for the monsters in the Hoka, we had a Zoom call, and I told everybody about the umbrella. And now it's no secret. Everybody knows I carry an umbrella. Everybody knows it's on my bike, and I've seen it on there. I have pictures of me with an umbrella. But my first Hoka, I kept a journal every day. I just wrote down a couple of things where I slept, and just a little journal. And I tried to write down before I fell asleep, but there's some days I had pen marks that kind of went off like a drunk guy. And, but the one thing I had in there was, if you ever do this again, bring a fucking umbrella because I was so hot out in the desert and so tired. I just wanted to sleep and there was no shade anywhere. And I remember laying next to my bike with my head this far from my pipes, trying to get in the shade tucked up underneath there, and the thing's raging hot. So the umbrella is an awesome idea. And I tell everybody, don't leave home without it. If you're going to be a long distance rider, there'll be a time that you will trade your left pinky for that umbrella.
Well, I had one of the pictures when I had Sparks on. I think it was him and Taekwon out in the desert somewhere, standing there, with their umbrellas. Exactly what you're saying, to get some shade and some relief out of the beating sun.
Yep.
When they're, just taking a mental break, or, what the scenario was. I can't remember, but yeah. And it's a very smart idea because it packs up so small. I mean, you throw a tour pack saddlebag wherever you got, it ain't going to take up much room. But like you said, man, it can be a lifesaver when you're in some miserable conditions.
And I'll tell people as a tip, mount it on your crash bar or on your bag outside, somewhere where you can get access to it really fast, because it comes extremely extremely handy when you're lost and you just want to sit on your bike and figure it out. You can just take your umbrella, pop it up, and now you're in the shade as you look at a map, you figure your shit out. So it's much more conducive to have that thing very handy. I mean, I keep mine on a crash bar right next to me. I pull it out all the time, and I'm on my third or fourth one. There was a lady in Utah that brought one to a dealership and gave it to me during the whole K because I lost my umbrella. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And that umbrella, I should have it out here somewhere, but I actually saved it. I've never used it. I've never even opened it. It was like one of those gifts that just meant more to me. The
Sentimental value.
Sentimental value far outweighed the value of that little umbrella, but I've never even opened it. I went to open it one time on that ride, and I was like, I don't know if I want to open this. I might just save this. And then I crashed, and we found it in the rocks, and it was just, so that little umbrella just means more to me than I want to use. So I got a different one on my bike.
And the other thing I found out, I mean, even, very fortunate, having the partnership, whatnot, with Custom Dynamics, having some, amazing the headlights, fog lights, but you get in some of those areas at night, like when we did the Monsters Over Mountains this year, going up through Montana, there's no street lights on some of those back highways. And it's like, I was talking about him. He's like, well, what's next? And, I know one thing for Christmas or whatnot, kids always look for little ideas, like more lighting.
Never have too much lighting.
No, it's like, riding with Shell. She had the Denali D7s, which, that's way out of my price range. But, I thought it had good lights, and she clicked on those Denalis. It's like, holy shit. Those things are freaking amazing. But I found some other great ones. Actually, what the heck were they? I'll tell you in a minute. But yeah, that's something, if you think you got great lighting and then you want to get into this and you get in some of those areas where it is dark, it makes a huge difference. And you can't, I don't think you can have enough.
And what makes a big difference if you're competing in like the Hokahe is when you're in the dark versus bright like daylight, like some of the Denali D7, some of the lights, Clearwater has light.
These are called co-light, and they're pretty impressive. You can get the yellow lenses, the clear, and their prices are pretty phenomenal. They, got some great lumen ratings, so I might be checking those out.
Yeah, some of the ones I found that are a little cheaper, the only thing I find is they don't last very long. Like they'll start to dim. Like in a couple of years, they'll be you don't notice it because you use them all the time, but then you put a new one and you're like, holy shit, they're half of what they were when they were new. But
right,
the lights, if you don't have quality lights, it wears you out mentally in a long day of riding. So if you're smart to see, it's not just that you can't see, it's just you get so, like for me at least, I get so goddamn tired that when I can't see, it's like you're constantly straining, and mentally exhausted because I'm trying to look and see everything. Where if you light it up like daytime, you can get more on chill mode because I can see 50 yards in every direction. There's nothing there. I don't have to worry about a deer darting out because there's nothing there. But the drawback is you see too much sometimes. And takes
But sometimes I think, you get some auxiliary ones, you put them at a slight angle where you're also going to illuminate ditch lines for some of those backside highways to, a little bit more visibility of wildlife too. And I don't know if you can try to illuminate ditch to ditch, you're greater. I think that comes along for riding with a group too. Whether you're on a 2-lane or 4-lane highway, if you got 2 lanes going one direction, get 3 or 4 bikes, go side by side, run case to case, the old suicide as they call it, and just get every light on that everybody has. Illuminate to the best you can.
Yeah, I tell people when we're riding a pack, I said, you just light it up. You turn your lights on, I'll adjust my mirrors. I can see them.
Yeah, you gave me that advice on the first Monsters Over Mountains.
Yeah, I just tell people, like, I don't give a shit. I'll take my mirrors off. I don't hardly use those things anyways, unless I'm in heavy traffic. But otherwise, I'll just reach over and push them up, and that's it. So they're the way to go. But there's a lot of little things that people always tweaking, always adjusting, and people come up with crazy ideas about what they're going to do on a hoka or any kind of long distance competition. They're going to go out and set out. And I tell people all the time, I just said it on Facebook the other day, look at the top 10 riders of the hoka. Like, who comes in the top 10? Look at their setup and what they bring. You'll know what you need to bring. Like, it's not a secret. You go back and look at their Facebook pages, you'll see what they ate, what they wore, what they had on when it rained, what they had on when it was sunny. You can kind of figure something out just by looking. The top 10 people are no joke. They're there for a reason.
Yeah.
You don't get lucky and come in the top 10 in the hoka. It just doesn't happen. You can get lucky and come in the first one to the checkpoint, the first checkpoint. You can be lucky and make it be the first one to come into a checkpoint, but nobody gets lucky for 10,000 miles. That just doesn't happen. Anybody that's got a buckle in a hoka is a straight legit badass. Like, they are some of the best riders in the world. Like, that's plain and simple. There's no other way you can say it. They're among the best. They're just among so many people that are so damn good that it's just amazing, at the talent level. But if you look at anybody that has a buckle from a hoka, look at how they do shit and start from there. You'll notice that a lot of the top tier riders have suspensions. They're running a Legend suspension, and people think, well, I don't need a suspension. I don't need a cushy ride. Well, I tell you what, man, pound for pound, if I'm going to compete against you and you don't have a Legend suspension on your bike, I will beat you. If all things are equal, my bike is going to outperform your bike. And that's just how the world works. So if you can upgrade your thing, and you have lights. But if you go with a stock bike, stock suspension, stock lighting, no wild ass on your seat, I don't give a shit how good you think you are. There's 30 riders that are as good as you are, but now they're going to be much better equipped, which is going to put them light years ahead of you, and just dominate. So if you don't get your shit set up, and don't take the time to practice it, you may be the king of your town, the king of your state, but once you hit the world with stud and studette bikers, you just can't compete with that.
Yeah, you don't fix it, then we can dive in that. You're not gonna stand up as well, like for those that want to sign up for the Monster K, which you got coming up, so we can kind of dive into this next adventure for Mile Monsters next year.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Like, the signups just opened up today. I actually had it on the website. Somebody did notice it yesterday. So somebody, Brandy, got on yesterday because I put it up when I was on the computer. Once I publish it, it's on the website. But I thought, nobody's going to notice it. Of course,
I got signed up last night.
Yeah. So a few people noticed it. Brandy sent me a text right away, so I did laugh at that. But what we got going is just simple. We wanted to have a kick-ass event and a kick-ass ride that wasn't going to take up a mad, crazy amount of time for us, for the riders, for everything. So we came up with this ride a couple of years ago. It's been in the works. So now it's live. You can sign up for it. And for participating in this, we came up with an idea to have our participation trophy. And I always joke around, this is a participation trophy world we live in, where all kids get a participation trophy. So we want to give people a chance at a participation trophy. And we thought, what better trophy than a new motorcycle? So that's why everything is designed to raise enough money to cover a motorcycle, to have that be, in the win. So all you have to do to be eligible to win a motorcycle is go to our website, sign up, join our Monster K fundraising team, and fundraise $300. That's it, and you are eligible to win a bike. That gets you a ticket to their participation trophy drawing. One ticket. If you ride your 1,000 miles on June 21st, you are eligible for another ticket. So now you fundraise $300 at a minimum, and you rode your 1,000 miles. Now you got 2 chances to win it. If you ride to Lebanon, Kansas on the 21st of June and party with us, but show up in Lebanon, Kansas. For those of you who don't know, that is the geographical center of the lower 48 states. There's a cool little monument there to get a picture. If you get your picture there by noon on Saturday the 22nd, that gives you your 3rd opportunity to be in the motorcycle drawing. And then for every $1,000 you fundraise, you got another opportunity to win it. So if you fundraise $5,000, you rode there to the event, you could have 7 chances to win it. So that's how we came up with it. So we didn't want people who maybe could fundraise and maybe they can't ride, maybe they can't get off work that day. I have no idea. They could be somebody's going to be deployed. I have no idea. But that way you can still be involved with what we're doing. We can still fundraise, still have fun, still share it. If something happens to your bike, you're not out of the running. You could, things happen to people all the time. And I didn't want to see somebody that's really into this, or maybe somebody could use a new motorcycle, and their bike breaks down 500 miles into this ride, and now they're not eligible. So I didn't think that was right. So that's why it's set up as it is. And you just get more chances by being more active. That's all.
I think it's going to be awesome. I'm excited.
I think it's great. And this is one of the rare things. Most things we do, I don't want anything to do with winning a prize. I don't want anything to do with my name coming up on a wheel, when you're giving away suspensions or anything else. I don't want anything to do with any of that. This, on the other hand, I'm all in. I told the wife, I'm going to be fundraising on my homepage hard. I'm going to ride miles. I'm going to be there, get my picture taken. I'm going all in because my name is going to be in there, and I'm hoping I get chances at a new bike.
Me too. Which was cool. I got a message from my son this morning. He signed up for it this morning. It'd be freaking cool.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. But it's going to be so fun. We haven't got all the details hammered out. I wanted to get the signups available and the fundraising because some people like a long time to plan. But we're going to roll out with the other things. We're going to get the bike. I'm working with some dealerships, and we're going to see who gets our bike from us and who's going to sponsor this event and that kind of thing. So it's really going to be epic. So it'll be a great time. And the event in Lebanon, Kansas, I went down to Lebanon, Kansas, and went to their city council and met with them to ask them if we could have a party in their town. They originally told me to send an email, and they put it in front of the city council. Well, I'm much more of a in your face kind of guy. If I'm going to ask somebody for something, I like to look them in the eye, shake their hand, and ask that way. So I went there and met with them right before I went to California and saw you, and it was a great reception. They were all about it. So we're going to have a family style picnic and a biker day, and we're really going to take up the whole town. The entire town is going to be invited. They're going to have some things that they're putting on for us. We're going to put on some things for them. We're going to have some bike games. We're going to have some music and entertainment, and it's really going to be fun. And then at 5:00, we're going to have our participation trophy drawing right there in the city park. We're going to have the motorcycle out there. So hopefully whoever wins it is there that day, partying in the city and having a great time. And we can just show them the new bike right there.
So do you say party in the city? Okay. When I Googled Lebanon, Kansas, and then, I just thought of another question. You said you went to the city council. The 2020 census showed a population of 174 people. So is that 2 people in the city council?
Yeah, there was 7 people, I believe.
Wow. Okay.
It wasn't a big meeting, but it's there's not that many people in town, but the town is a square out in the prairie. and there's a mill from, where they pound a bunch of wheat through, next to the train yard. But the town is, I grew up in a small town, so to me it's not that small, but it's really a nice town. Like I did the same thing. There's under 200 people there. I rode through the whole town, took a bunch of pictures. I took my motorcycle through the whole town, checking it out. And it's one of those towns that, as time moved and the highway moved and everything else, a lot of things got left behind. But the town is super nice. Like the people who run that town, like the city park, that's why I decided to have it in their town, because how cool the town is. Like they have a reception center, visitor center, super cool. An old gas station that they restored.
I saw pictures of that. It looked freaking cool. The old style, old gas pumps out front, red and white pumps. And yeah, I was looking at a bunch of pictures and showing Amy today.
And the city park is super nice. All kinds of parking. They're going to allow us to camp. They have a little RV park in town. And then there's a jail from the old Wild West days. There's still a jail, one of the only jails in the West that's still up, like right outside the courthouse. It's really a cool place to get a picture. And there's 4 bunk beds in there, in the jail.
If you go to Google Maps and search Lebanon, the picture of the jail, I think there's like 8 pictures of the town that are on Google Maps. And no, it's pretty freaking cool.
It's really cool, and they were really on board. So I'm actually talking to them this week, and we're going to hammer out some other details. But I'm really excited about it. I think it's really going to be fun, and to have a town that will let us bring hopefully hundreds of bikers in, and kind of do our thing. It's going to be really pretty epic. So they're really on board with it. They were all about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I think it's going to be super freaking cool. And then for me, it's like cool. I can check off a couple new states and pass through in a blur and have a good time.
Yeah, and I love Kansas. People bang on the plains, and Nebraska, Kansas. I actually love riding across them. Like my favorite riding is I'll take riding across South Dakota, just long straightaways, a wheat field blowing. It's just peaceful as hell to me. Like people bang on it all the time, but it calls to me. Like I always
Flatlands.
Yeah,
Flatlanders.
I would have loved to have been a Native American back in the day, and I picture myself a great warrior. You get to have your squaw, and then you go fight and hunt and fish. And I thought, that calls to me. That's what I'm about. And then I realized that, I have LASIK eye surgery. I've had terrible teeth and been knocked out. I got them replaced all the time. And I'm like, if I was a native warrior, I would have been a gatherer.
Basically, at that point, we're going to double the population when we're there.
Yeah, we will double the population. That's for sure. So that's the game plan too. We want to double it or triple it. Really want to have that's why these signups are important, because we can see who's going to go, and then we're going to take this another step further and have people like, are you bringing guests? Kind of get a game plan of an idea, because what I proposed to city council, I said we're going to barbecue all day there. So what I proposed to them is, do you have a Boy Scouts, a church group, a city group, anything where you want to barbecue and you sell us a plate, $15, and you get a burger, a beer, and a chips or whatever, And I said, you guys can make money off us being in your town, or you can say no, and we'll do all that, and we're going to barbecue, or we're going to pay somebody to come in here and barbecue, whatever it takes. We'll buy food from them. So they're really up for that, because I think we're going to get, somebody from the town, the church group. There was already a library group that was short on their budget, so they're looking for ways. So, they're talking about doing a breakfast in town on Sunday before everybody heads out of town, or on Saturday morning when people are getting there to eat. So we're going to get those details worked out, but the town's going to be involved. It's going to be awesome.
I think it'd be really cool, especially for a very small community like that, with, whether they want to do some barbecuing to help everybody. And, like I said, so much for a plate or a breakfast. I think we could, as a group, can do a lot to help that community also when it comes to, financial standpoint of them, and, boost their revenue.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I want to get the name right. So I want to look at something real quick, because I was just laughing about something. Oh shit, it's not on this phone. Forgot I wrecked my phone. It's on a different one. But I was in the Lebanon, Kansas meeting, and I left, and I'm outside talking to a guy who had a kid with him, and he went outside because the kid was loud or whatever. So I was done with my part, but the meeting was still going on. Well, he was walking back. He went back inside. Well, I look at my phone because I was ignoring it while I was in a meeting, and I have a friend of mine who I've been friends with for a few years now, and he sends me a text. Hey, if you're still at the meeting, check and see if I forget the guy's name. If he's there, that's my best friend's brother. And I was like, what a small world. So I walked back in and I was like, hey man, and I forget the guy's name, so I apologize if he's watching, but I forgot his name. And I said, is so and so here? And the lady's like, hey, he's right here. The guy I was talking to outside. And I said, yeah. I go, I just talked to my friend Shane. And he goes, you got to be kidding me. And he goes, yeah, it's his older brother's best friend. They grew up together. So it's just funny that I'm talking to a town and he here's somebody that's really involved with the town and trying to change it. And
in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. And my buddy grew up because I knew him from Minnesota and now he lives in Nebraska. But he grew up in the next town down from Lebanon. So just funny how the world works, and he's been a great Monster supporter. And, it's just funny how my buddy knows the guy, inside this room of this little town. And I just happen to be passing through. It's just crazy how things work.
Yeah, that's no kidding. So this would be cool. So I know kind of, you're still working out the details. So it sounds like, a lot of us could be pitching tents. Cause when I checked, there isn't no hotels in that town.
Yeah. There's no hotels in the town, but there's other towns that are very close. There's Red Cloud, which is right up the road into Nebraska. This is right on the border of Nebraska. Red Cloud's right up the road. Smith something or other is right down the road. So we're going to get a list of hotels. I have one hotel that we're going to reserve the entire hotel. And it's not like it's a great big mammoth place, but we're going to reserve the entire hotel. And I talked to them, and that's where any of the families are going to be, and any of the monsters will be staying there for sure. So
okay, cool. Yeah, I'll get with you later once we figure that stuff out.
Yeah, and the places are so small there, like you can't reserve a lot of things already. Like the chain hotels, you can get a room now, but the mom and pop places, they don't even take reservations out that far. They kind of laughed. They're like, "I'll call us back in January. We'll work something out."
Okay.
So I just kind of laughed, but it is what it is. But it's good. But and my plan is I'm camping right there in town.
No, I think that'd be fun. Just pitch a tent. Like, what was it, like $5 in the city park or something? You can just pitch a tent.
Yeah, they're letting us, anybody that's there for that park, camp, the city park, and all the way across. There's a parking lot for bikes. They're really gonna make it nice for us. So there's
and that's a lot of fun, and a fun part of the adventure is just whether you want to, just freaking throw a mattress on the ground, sleeping bag, throw a tarp over you, or just, pitch a little tent and just enjoy the vagabond lifestyle, I guess, in a way you could call it.
Yeah, and we told the city, I said, we're not here to like terrorize your town or anything like that. We're just charity people who want to help some kids live their best life. And we want to have a good time doing it. So we're just looking for somebody who's going to sell us some beer, sell us some burgers. We're going to sit around and drink beer. If people at camp in the camp are going to hang out until wee hours of the night, morning, whatever, drinking whiskey and telling motorcycle stories around a picnic table. And anything we need, we'll take care of ourselves. Like they have bathrooms at the city park, but they're not going to be enough for 400 people. So I said, whatever we need, I said, we'll bring in the Jimmy Johnny portable toilets, whatever, we'll get that taken care of. So they're really down with that. When they knew we weren't expecting the city to foot the bill for our nonsense, or said, look, we'll take care of everything. And would we prefer if you guys can make $1 off of us being here? No problem. We have to eat. We have to eat and we have to sleep. We're not paying anything to sleep in your park. If you're going to charge us a couple bucks for a plate to get a meal, that's awesome.
Yeah, because bottom line, it's like, that they're essentially helping support us. So why not support them and do what we can to also help them?
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited. I'm bringing my trailer like I did to Sturgis. I'm going to be bringing that new bike with me. So I won't be riding out there. I'm actually going out there a day early, and so I can, get my ride in and be eligible to win this bike. So I'm really hoping I drag it out there. I'm going to put a Riot sticker on there right away, so I claim it as mine to help me, get a chance of winning it.
No, that's gonna be super cool. I'm really freaking excited. I think it's be awesome.
It'll be fun. And if somebody wins it that's not there, I hope it's like within driving distance of me somewhere, because I would love to just roll to their house and drop the bike off, at their
Well, you
house.
can just keep rolling up the Pacific Northwest and bring it over to my house, and you stay here at night, and then you can venture back home.
I tell you what, I would never, ever in a million years trailer your new bike to you. I would drop it in Jersey and ride it like I stole it out there and then fly my ass home. I said that I could do.
Yeah.
I will break it in for you nice and gentle.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm very gentle and right to the specs.
Yep, exactly. They'd be telling me, then when I broke in Pearl, when I blew a Pearl up and I had to break it in, and they said, do this and do that for the first 500 miles. I swear to God, that was the longest 500 miles of my life. I left California and I'm like, I'm all about the throttle. I'm on a bike that's not new. So it's just so hard for me to keep the RPMs right and taking it halfway easy. But I'm actually glad I did that. Bike runs like a champ.
Oh, funny story. When my dad broke in my bike that I have, when my dad bought it brand new and he was breaking it in, he actually got a ticket for impeding traffic because he was going so fucking slow. No joke.
That's pretty funny. That's good humor. Yeah, 604 miles from Gillette.
Yeah, I'll Springer Mike and Nick, they're in Gillette, Wyoming.
See, that's a perfect ride. Ride down, ride past it, go sightsee, come around. You can. I like those 600-mile rides that you need to make into 1,000 because you can do a lot of fun sightseeing.
Or sometimes just as, a 600-mile ride sometimes ain't a bad day either.
No, nope, not at all. It's a nice ride.
Yeah, Amy and I did a couple of those on the to and from Sturgis.
Nope, it'll be a lot of fun. But you want to do your 1,000 miles in a day so you get that other chance for that participation.
Oh, I will. I already have that plan. Already
So
kind of have a ballpark idea where I'm going to stop the first night, and then the next night's going to be about 11:25.
yeah, I could bang out. We're going to Kansas, so if my trailer's parked in that city park, I can bang out 1,000 miles very fast out in that country because you just got to hit the open road. If I just wanted to pound miles, I'm going to go do some sightseeing, so I'm not going to pound miles like that. But if I just wanted to pound miles, I just jump on those interstates and do 95 miles an hour and you bang out 1,000 miles like nothing.
Yeah, I figured, and that was the thing when we went to California. I'm like, yeah, I don't, I was contemplating doing, a saddle sore. I'm like, I don't know, and so I didn't pull receipts. And sure as shit, even with a 5-hour layover in where we at Sutherland, Oregon, it still ended up banging out 1,000 miles in 22 hours. I'm like, shit, I could have got one.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, but that for that ride, that wasn't the purpose of it. I wasn't really looking at it in, the sense of, getting a saddle sore, the ride 1K. It just, we're heading down for Turbo's birthday, and that was the plan. And sometimes it's, more about just the ride than it is, the paperwork to say, hey, I did this.
Yeah, I did. I'm turning my paperwork in. I was going to do that tomorrow, but I don't know if I'll get to it. But I just, from my trip out to Wild Ass, when I went to his ride, I ended up putting on 1,500 miles in, I don't know, however many hours it was, but I didn't even realize it until we got gas on Craig's ride. And I'm like, I got the receipt and I looked at it and I'm like, hey, I'm over 1,500 miles. And I'm like, I think that was 36 hours you need to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for a bun burner.
Yeah. So I was at, I want to say like 27 or something like that. I'm like, or no, it's 28 or something like that. Anyways.
That's pretty fucking good.
So I had it and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So I'm going to turn that in. I think that's kind of cool. So I'm going to do that. I'm just not very good at it, but I saved my receipts all the way across. I'm like, oh, I'll turn in. I like to do it when there's something cool about it. Like I'm going to Wild Ass Craig's ride. So, all right,
yeah,
that's perfect. And I didn't have time to do one of the monster rides. And I didn't think I'd be able to sit in the saddle that long. And, it's like, I did that 1,500 miles, but that was the only time I came close to 1,000 miles that whole trip in a day. The rest of them, I was shot out. I couldn't do it. I still have not been able to ride like I normally can yet. So
what's fun is in November, let's see if I can check the calendar. Actually, Doug Vance, who is part of the IBA that certifies a lot of all of our rides, he's actually coming on, which is going to be a lot of fun because get a learn some more and answer some questions about IBA stuff, which is going to be November 19th. Because in some ways, I think it can be intimidating, the paperwork side. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun having, one of the guys that does all the certifications,
Yeah.
come in here, we'll talk riding, but then also, to be able to talk about how the IBA works, paperwork side, what you need. And so I think that was going to be kind of an educational, kind of fun, because I was one of those guys. I did the ride 1K in a day, and I was always intimidated from the IBA. It's like, God, it just seems so, hard with the paperwork side, what you got to do, this receipt and this highway and blah, blah, blah. But after riding with Frank, when I got my first one, it's like, shit, this ain't that half bad as I thought. So I think it'll be real fun having somebody on, from that society organization come on here to help explain stuff, kind of how it works. And, it's like it's another little community within a community.
Yeah. And they did a great job with the Monster 100. They had this logo on the certifications that they did for anybody and everybody that wanted to get through there. You had to follow their program and get receipts and stuff. But they did a great job with it, a great job of promoting what we did. And I had a lot of respect for them. And I can show it to you. I have it on the wall here. But I actually got I'll grab it here. I got my first, that's a certificate right there.
Yep, I got mine.
So that's and that's the first one I'd ever turned in. So
that's cool.
All the miles, people think I have, all these crazy saddle sores or all these 1K in a day or anything. I just don't. I never was that guy. And part of it was you have to do 1,000-mile day in the IBA before you're qualified to get, a bun burner gold or anything. So I was always bitter because I did bun burner golds, but I never had turned in a saddle sore. So you have to do 1,000-mile one. And people are like, oh, just turn in 1,000-mile and then you'll get it. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm like, God, hell it. And I just kept blowing it off. And then when they stepped up and were going to help us out with this, I thought that's pretty cool. And I'd kind of like to have one of those for my wall. And when I did it, it was just kind of awesome altogether, So I just thought it was kind of cool. So I was really happy they did it. And now I got a number, got an IB number. So it's pretty cool.
What's cool is we did the Monsters Over Mountains last year and this year. They did custom certificates with the Monsters Over Mountains logo on last year's and this year's too. So the 7 people that rode last year, the 7 people this year, they're the only 7 that can ever get that certificate with that logo.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. And same with the Monster 100. Those, 200 riders are the only people that can get that, which makes it more sentimental, more personal.
That's exactly what I wanted for the office. So I have it in here, and I, sitting right next to me. I look at it all the time, and I did think that was really cool that they did that. And on their Facebook page, they don't allow the fundraising stuff and post it on there because be honest, there's a billion people out there fundraising for something. There's a charity ride every other day, and so they opened that up and let us post about the Monster 100, about what we were doing, what it was. And it generated a lot of support with, riders that I generally don't have a lot of communication with, your BMW riders, Goldwing riders, like that. And we had a lot of them join our Monster 100. And I thought it was cool because, I just like people that ride and want to do what we do. If you want to ride a Harley, that's on you. You want to ride an Indian, that's on you. You want to ride a BMW, I don't really care. I spent a lot of time in a club where we had to ride Harleys, American-made bikes. And I'm a Harley guy through and through. I love the Harley, but if you're a BMW guy and you want to ride with me, I don't give a shit, man. Let's ride, man. One of my best friends, Ted, he rides a BMW. I don't care at all. Like, let's go ride.
Oh, yeah. And some of those guys, it's like, especially the, the adventure bikes, those BMW, the 1200s, the 1250s, with that 9.6 gallon gas tank.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers, I envy that shit. I wish.
Yeah, I don't have a bladder for that, so I either got to use a piss tube or I don't care what my gas tank is because I'm not going that far anyhow. But I'm not against using the condom catheter anyway. So
yeah, me neither.
I don't
no,
care.
Tracy. Yeah, riding with Dell was a lot of fun. Her and Dell and Shell actually stayed at my house for Thursday. because they had it mixed up. They thought the Monster Over Mountain started on Friday, so they came into town on a Thursday. Like, hey, what time are we leaving tomorrow? You mean Saturday? What? It's Saturday. Oh shit! It's not. Don't worry, you guys are more than welcome to stay. Not a problem at all. It was pretty freaking funny.
And that's kind of fun. And get to go and hang out a little bit, anyways.
Yeah, so I mean, I had taken that Friday off, so I took him out. We did some little bit of sightseeing, around the peninsula here, and took him out to see some things, and barbecued, had a cool, fun dinner because all the other guys started rolling in on Friday. But no, it was a lot of fun, and it's cool to meet other people within the community, in the group that everybody we share this passion, for motorcycles, and share the passion for with mile monsters to help out these boys and do what we can to help them all live their best lives. And man, I made some great, amazing friends through it. And it's, same thing with doing this. We're 111 mileposts in, and the biggest reward is that friendship I've made with every person I've had on here, including yourself, from like back and around before they were even mileposts.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny how things grow, and I meet a ton of people, and some people you just hit it off with and stuff, and I've loved what you've been about, and I love watching your shit grow and you get better at your craft, and like your craft as a podcaster has gotten much better than the first time I was on, and the first time.
Yeah. It's grown and changed. And it's with anything, you can tie that into motorcycles because we all start, hey, we got a lot to learn no matter what you're doing when you're starting anything. And it has been a great education. And, much like within the motorcycle community, you've had the great friends, hey, try this, try this. Well, it's been the same thing, learning this with the podcasting, like, Brian Ford, Bry the Biker, who's been a great support and helper. It's like, because I don't understand technology, and Brian's been there. It's like, hey, try this, and he's sent me equipment. I can't figure this out. I can call him, and he's logged into my StreamYard or YouTube to help him with stuff because I'm not computer smart. I'm not technologically savvy. But Brian has, it's his background. He's been a great friend that still, one of those guys that you meet over social media that you never met personally, but we became the best of friends. And, without Brian, I don't know if I would have been on YouTube, honestly. And that's the truth. And, thanks to him and, meeting other people and the growth, I finally came to YouTube. And instead of doing these podcast audio where you're doing over the phone, well, it's like, you're basically kind of face to face, and it's almost like sitting down, at the bar table, having a conversation, shooting the shit back and forth. And it's a lot of fun when you can get a little bit more of a personal interaction because, you can see each other, you're not there, but
yeah,
you're there via a computer screen, and it's been so much fun.
Yeah, I dig it. I like the progression of that. It's nice, and it's cool. Like, and I've learned a lot from you, which has really helped us on Bry the Bikers from New Jersey.
Yeah, he's down in some town. Yeah, you can just comment where he at, Bry. I can't remember. He's somewhere, I think, on the coast. I think could be wrong.
Bro, tell that dude Bry the Biker, hit me up sometime. I'll go for a scoot, grab a beer.
That, he's one of the cool guys. Bry rides a roadglide now, so he can be cool.
Yeah, exactly. But my dealership, I did. He's in Burlington. Yeah. Because I use Shoreline Harley, which is not by me at all. It's down by the shore. My local dealership treated me shitty, and I'm not one to easily forgive and forget. So I found that in the old days I could forgive people much easier because I always punched them in the face. I punch him in the face, and then we can seem to get over it. But now those days, you don't get to do that. So now I'm like still pissed off about things for years later. I'm like, I need to get a good brawl out of it, and then we'll be fine.
Yeah, want to hold a grudge for a little while,
Yeah, that's what happens. But yeah, but it's you got to have people in your corner that know the the computer end and the YouTube end and get it rolling, and things you've learned you've passed on to me and helped us, even though I did catch a YouTube ban so far. Turbo got it kicked off. The Mile Monsters thought it'd be a great idea to set these two kids up with shows on YouTube using StreamYard here. So we're doing the same thing. We have Hammer Time and Turbo Time. So I thought that'd be great, except YouTube has a bunch of bullshit that if you have a kid on by himself without a parent, you can get banned. And I'm like, what the hell, man? The kid's 16 years old doing a show about cars and, like no crazy content at all. And because you don't have a mommy sitting next to you, like, what the hell, man? That just pissed me off. So I'm in the middle of fighting with YouTube right now because right now I'm banned from Mile Monsters.
Oh,
Mile
shit.
Monsters is banned from YouTube because of a 12-year-old boy and a 16-year-old boy talking about cars and soccer.
That's
Like,
so messed up.
all the shit I've done in my life, I get banned from two kids that were trying to help talk about cars and soccer and we're catching a ban. So I did think that was kind of funny.
That is kind of comical.
Yeah, so I don't know what the hell, but I don't know. Got to get that figured out because there's kids with YouTube channels. So I figure it must be something in our settings. But they said anybody that's not 18 years old has to have somebody accompany them on the show or something. I was like, and even if we're sitting like this and you have an adult guest, they don't count that because I said Turbo just put me on a screen and I'll just put a mannequin, a picture of me in there because YouTube. Algorithms. I said, just do your show and there's be like a picture of Riot sitting in a chair, and that'll be it. And they'll never know. They don't. They go right by who's sitting next to them or who's on with them. And I was like, what the fuck?
Well, fuck it. Turbo just turned 18 years old. He's an adult.
Yeah, then you got to prove all that. That's what I said too. I'm like, the kids are old enough. They just like don't appear it. I'm like, then you got to upload all their crap. And I was like, now I got to go get a fake ID for a kid who's doing a show about cars.
Oh, that's just messed up.
It's making me a criminal. I'm trying to stay on the straight and narrow, and they're making me into the criminal end of things. So I'm like, all right, kids, well, we want to help you all, but first of all, we got to get you a fake ID.
Yeah, and not so you can buy alcohol. It's just so you can talk cars on YouTube.
So you can talk and be a productive kid on YouTube. We got to have that taken care of. So I don't know, just cracked me up a little bit, but
just some bullshit.
Yeah, it's got to jump through hoops, but I don't know how to jump through those hoops.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Like, oh, you got to do this, this, and this. I was like, well, I don't even know what this was. It's like trying to work on my bike. People are like, oh, start with this. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Like, I gotta Google how to get to point one you're talking about. Give me 7 steps to do something. I'm like, I got to get to one. Like I am not a mechanic, so that's how I am with computers too. Like, unfortunately, my skill set in life doesn't translate much. I was always good at swinging a sledgehammer, drinking Jack Daniels, and punch pretty good. I could punch pretty hard, but none of the things translate very well to YouTube life. So now I don't really drink a whole lot. I'm not punching anybody. I'm too old for that nonsense. So, and I'm definitely not swinging a sledgehammer. So all my specialties have gone by the wayside.
Yeah, it's time to hone a new craft now.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm just going to try to hone my craft to riding a motorcycle and try to be, best I can be.
So besides, the Monster K, is that pretty much going to be the big event next year for Mile Monsters? And you got, you got like a dozen kind of standard rides people can do at any time?
Yeah, we're going to have a monthly ride, but we're going to have some big events next year. We have the Monster K in June, and we have the Hokahay is in August of next year. I believe that starts on the 4th. So,
yeah, because you guys will end, what is it, the 14th? And then that way the following weekend will be Monsters Over Mountains. So like, I know Wrong Way claimed he wants to come ride it. And of course, that way gives Frank time to be home from that. And, for other individuals that are coming this way that want to partake, it'll be the weekend after
and then
that ends.
And a fun ride that I'm doing next year, which I haven't even got the details worked out. I got it somewhat done. I'm just trying to figure out if we're going to open it up to a bunch of people or how we're going to incorporate this. But is the Forrest Gump run. So it's going to be called the Monster Gump. And that is a fun ride. If anybody familiar with the movie Forrest Gump,
The Epic Highway.
He went for a run, and it took him 5 years in the movie to run, and he ran across the country 5 times. And they mapped out where he ran. There's a map available on Google, but we're turning that into a ride next year. It starts in May. It ends on Memorial Weekend, the Sunday of Memorial Weekend in Monument Valley, Utah, or Arizona, whatever it is, right where the line goes like this through Utah and Arizona. But Monument Valley, right there on the famous road in the Forrest Gump is where it's going to end. It's going to end on that Sunday, Memorial Weekend. And it's going to be a great ride, but it's 15,300 and change miles. So
Jesus.
We're setting to do that 15,000 miles up in 14 or 15 days. So that's what we're going to do. And I kind of want to do it where it's 1,000 miles a day and actually map it out so I know exactly where I'm going to be every night. So then we might have it open to people who want to join that. And then they'll know that, okay, on May 20th, Riot will be here. Whatever monster is involved with it is going to be here. They're going to ride 1,000 miles to here,
So they can ride, the next leg or whatever. That's pretty cool. Not a bad idea.
1,000 miles or the end, but then at the end we're hoping to get 20 or 30 bikes to follow along, just like in the Forrest Gump movie, where at the end he just stops, with a monument value as a backdrop. He just stops and he says, "I'm tired. I think I'm gonna go home now.
I'm done now, Jenny."
Yeah, that was it. But it's the 30-year anniversary of Forrest Gump next year, and I'm a huge Forrest Gump fan.
Jesus, has it been that long? Holy shit.
So that's why I've been planning. This is another ride that I've planned for years now, waiting for the 30th anniversary to come up. And then Gavin reached out and wanted us to take him, one of the boys. For people not familiar with the monsters, we have 5 boys that we ride for. One of the boys reached out and asked if we could take him to see every state. So we're trying to figure that out. We're going to work something out where we take him on a 10-day ride so he can get an IBA certificate.
48 and 10. 48. Don't forget Florida.
Yeah, exactly. If I had my way, it would be 47 and 10, because that's my favorite ride of all times, is Go Home Ken, who did 48 and 10 and missed Florida and got 47 and 10, because everybody does 48 and 10, but how many people have done 47? One. So I told Ken that's my bucket list ride, to do 47 states and skip Florida. Just so I say, I'm with Ken. We're the only 2 that have ever done that.
It's funny in those groups, you see people talk about planning it, and there's always some comment, "Never forget Florida."
Yeah, exactly. And that was epic. He did that. I forget what year it was, 2018, maybe 17. I don't know, 17.
Yeah, it's a couple years ago.
Yeah, he did it. And he got home and was getting his certificates ready for the IBA certificate. It wasn't like he realized it the next day. He was getting his gas receipts and everything in order to turn in for his certificate that he's been dreaming about getting, and then realized he forgot Florida. He went back out and did the ride again
the next morning.
Yeah, it was like immediately got home. I'm like, it's really an epic tale of a ride, to do 48, 47 and 10, realize you missed one, turn around and go back and do it again. That's an epic ride that people don't understand, that how badass that really is.
Yeah, literally unpack some clothes, throw some fresh ones in there, take a short nap, and boom, on the road again.
Yeah, half embarrassed, half pissed off. And Ken wasn't the same Ken he is now. Now I think he'd laugh about it more. I think then he was more, damn it, I got to get this, want to make sure he gets the certificate.
Yeah, because he just wanted to get somewhere up like North Dakota, South Dakota, and play some butthole darts. But that's a whole nother story. You got to listen to the Wild Ass podcast with Ken Andrews and check out that story.
Yeah, exactly. Spring of Mike, June 21st is the date for Kansas. That is the date of the ride. June 22nd is the picnic.
Which June 22nd, Saturday, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Saturday, the ride ends at noon on Saturday the 22nd.
Yeah, I think my plan is stay there and then ride home, because 1725 for me. So Hayden and I, we did it, ride halfway back, do it, whether to do 1,000 miles Sunday and then the remainder on Monday and get home Monday afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the idea behind it, that people, for Hoka riders or anybody else, this will be an event now that, a lot of people can do, plan for it. That's why I wanted to get it up as soon as possible. So, it should be fun. I think it's going to be a great turnout. It's going to be epic. It's going to be, take over the town, kind of a fun time. So it's really going to be a great time.
I think it's really cool, and making, the event in such, a small community where they're going to benefit from it also, which is really cool, instead of, some ginormous city like LA where it really doesn't matter in a way that we're finishing there. But when you get into a community like, where you want to end in Lebanon, such a small one, to see the benefit that they're going to have from it too. And plus, they're, open arms and excited about it, just makes it even more cool.
Yeah. Like I said, I grew up in a small town. We used to have a thing called Pioneer Days. And every year at Pioneer Days, the whole town got together for this event. There were softball tournaments, there was a parade.
Oh,
Okay.
fucking Dylan.
So it was you definitely got the Trail 70 there. So I wanted something in a small town that we could turn it into like an event. So I think that'll
Yeah.
be, that's really what I was shooting for. I want it to be like that. So I'm really glad that they were up for it, and we found it. And the town's famous already amongst long distance riders. So many people have been to Lebanon, Kansas, only for a picture to that monument. So
Yeah, because the monument's what, like a half a mile out of town or so?
it's a couple miles out of town.
Is it? Yeah.
Just down the road, hang a left, and it's right there. So
Yeah. No, that'd be cool. I'm pretty stoked and excited for this. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
yeah, it's going to be great. So we'll get a group photo up there at some point, and I don't know, it'll be a lot of fun memories. But this will be one of those things that I think 5 years from now, people would be talking about. Were you there? Were you there at the Lebanon? Oh yeah, I was there. Were you there at that when that
Yeah.
whole town came out to a party and had the kids there? It's good. I just think it's really going to be some cool shit,
No, I
especially
100% agree.
yeah. If there's a Trail 70 to ride, then that just
Oh.
makes the weekend.
Well, then you're gonna need two of them, so you can do some, little figure eight races and good times.
Yeah, exactly. We had a good time. Dylan had his Trail 70 and giving rides to kids at the campground last year in Sturgis. So that was a lot of fun, and kids screaming as they went over the hill. And he took me over the hill. I thought we were going to crash for sure. I might have held on a little tighter than recommended riding a motorcycle, but it was a pretty steep hill.
Oh, that's too awesome. So, well, shoot, buddy, man. Thanks for coming and hanging out and sharing some of the adventures and the stories of what's going on and the growth. It's like I said, man. It's really cool to see your dream you've created grow in the short amount of time that it has. And I'm honored. Even both Amy and I, and even Hayden and our family helping do stuff. And man, it's honored to be part of it, and so cool to see the growth that you've had from this.
It is really something. I can't even put it into words sometimes, and if I try to, I get choked up because it is amazing to see the biker community rally around these boys, and I think it's been a home run. And every year it's gotten bigger, and we're doing things that literally change lives. The things we did last year with this Monster 100. I mean, it was cool to ride 1,000 miles a day. I did a couple, 2, 3 days, whatever it was. It was a lot of fun to go out and do those rides. But at the end of the day, to watch a family get into a van and not have a single bill from it is absolutely
Yes.
amazing. Like that family. I communicate with them all the time. That Drew, the boy that we got the van for, Drew, I knew him 5 years ago. He was an outgoing, fun kid. And then since then, he's gotten depressed and shitty. And it wasn't the same Drew. It's hard to describe it, but we got him that van and got him out of the house. And it just brought him back. It's just amazing to be a part of that. And, where you get all these riders to do that. And I wish I could bottle it where you could see the old Drew, the Drew that was, and now Drew is back again. Like that is so worth it, and then we put a ramp on his house, and it literally changed the world for that kid and that family. And to do that is beyond a dream come true. I never thought in a million years that we could get to that point where we could
Fuck.
buy a van. I thought we could help people buy a van. Hopefully, we did that with Turbo, but to actually buy a van above and beyond enough money to buy a van, pay for the families, fund new adventures. It's just next level epic. To all the people who have met the boys, what it does. So I can't thank you enough for that. What you got going on there?
Sirens are going by. My dog took off. The coyotes are right behind my garage, going fucking nuts in the tree line, and my fucking dogs I can hear my son out there yelling at the dogs to get them back.
Yeah, that happens.
Oh, we had one in the yard today, but he got out. He went into the tree line before I could give him a fucking dirt fucking nap.
Yeah, coyotes are crazy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
So
thank you for getting involved and everybody else that's involved. It's, I struggle with some things and I get behind on some things, and everybody is on board. Next year we're making a lot of changes to embrace this growth and really go with it. So it's really going to be some
awesome.
epic shit coming down the pipe.
Can't wait. Honored to be part of it and always here to help however we can.
Awesome, man. I thank you.
Heck yeah. Well, man, everybody, thank you for tuning in. You want to find any of the stuff, you can go to MiaMonstersInc.com. We had the ticker rolling down below. You can check them out. All the information's there. Get in touch with Riot, email, social media, Mile Monsters Inc. Got the Facebook group, the Facebook page, everywhere, man. So, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Next week, we got Chase Setzer coming on to share his story, which you got to know Chase pretty well in the Texas adventure.
Yes, what a guy. He is
He's cool. It's gonna be fun.
yeah, he will be a good one. He's got a great soul to him, that kid. So he's a good kid.
He is. It's gonna be fun. Hey, and thank you, Tracy, for the comment. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing this. It's super fun. So, hey, Riot, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday. So until then, ride safe, have fun, and we'll catch you on the open road.